This episode of the Sloopcast is brought to you by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company is an Ohio-based company based out of Cary, Ohio, where they usually say our season will take your barbecue from good to great. Let's see, great seasonings over at the madcanadianbbq.com, and save even more when you use that promo code Sloopcast10, Sloopcast10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. Great seasonings here, such as the coffee and Q, perfect for this morning as we're recording really early.
More on that later.
How about some Cajun, maybe to spice up your morning, Jared, or even the what is it here? The two border, two border you like on your eggs and bacon.
You're damn right I do.
Or you can really spice it up with the Four Horsemen, just to really wake you up.
So if you need it, sometimes you need to do a little bit of the two border, but then you also want to have a little bit of sweats. So you got to maybe just do a little bit of Four Horsemen on top of that two border.
Yep, absolutely. Check out those and much, much more over at the madcanadianbbq.com. Again, that is the madcanadianbbq.com, Sloopcast10 for 10% off. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where they have your butt covered.
This episode of the Sloopcast is also brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. Kyle mentioned the coffee and Q, and you might be wondering, gee, I wonder how he gets that coffee flavor in that coffee and Q. Well, the answer is simple. There's coffee in it. There's coffee in it. It is not some coffee flavoring. No. It's actual coffee. In fact, if you want to try some of that actual coffee, like in a cup, you can buy it yourself over at the Iron Bean Coffee Company. It's the cast iron if you're curious. If you want to pick up a bag of that cast iron, which is a medium roast coffee made with 100% single origin Honduran Arabica beans. That's right. Single origin beans. Maybe that does not mean a lot to you, but if you know a lot about sort of the international politics of all of that it can sometimes be behind the coffee trade. That's like high integrity, high moral coffee right there. On top of that, all of the beans are fair trade certified and USDA organic. Integrity is what the Iron Bean Coffee Company is based off of. So know that when you're buying coffee from the Iron Bean Coffee Company, that you are doing it with the highest morals possible. And what else would you expect from an Ohio-based veteran-owned company? You can find the cast iron and a bunch of other great coffees over at ironbeancoffee.com. That's Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster. Kyle, I fear I did it again. I feel like I nailed that read, which means the next two reads, much like last week, did great on the opening read, then bombed the next two. Actually, I don't remember how my third read went, but I know I really bombed that second read. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Welcome all. Thanks for joining us on this fine Sunday morning.
Again, Kyle's making me get up early. Shouldn't have to set an alarm on a Sunday, Kyle.
I have to, or so I'm going to sleep all day.
Sometimes that's necessary.
Maybe.
As much as I've worked this week, I earned a little bit of sleep in, but no.
I'm still a little jet lagged, going all the way to California and back. Yeah, not fun.
That's why we had to record early last week, is because Kyle had a plane to catch. I don't know why we're doing it this week. Maybe he'll answer for that. But no, he's not gonna.
We'll see.
He's not.
All right, let's get into the episode.
We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing pretty well, Jared. How are you doing today?
I have no complaints. I have many complaints. I have so many complaints, but I'm not going to air any of those complaints on the podcast right now.
What about the snow?
We're not doing the weather thing.
No.
Listen.
I just needed to get a reaction out of you. That's all. That's all I want is get a reaction out of you. And for some
Which is
cards,
so hard,
happy.
right? It's so hard to get a reaction out of me because it's not like I'm loud and opinionated or anything, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have any snow for the entire month of March, which was like the first time that's happened in a very long time in central Ohio.
And then Mother Nature comes in and be like, oh, no, let me get one
we
more
got a
blanket of snow.
Not like a flurry. We got a blanket of snow.
Yeah, there was like a good 3 inches in Northwest Ohio.
So okay, that's enough. We're done. No more weather.
All right.
Yeah. Y'all in the South thinks it's funny until you realize how much this screwed over the crop season.
Yeah. Oh no, it's absolutely bad for crop season.
So y'all in the South can snicker all you want, but when the groceries are more expensive this year, maybe you won't be snickering. All right.
What do you mean? It already is. All right.
It'll get worse.
Yeah. All right. We got a few things to get into. We are officially, everybody.
Are you going to say it? Are we in the wasteland?
We are in the wasteland. Yes.
We still got the draft this weekend.
We do have the draft this weekend. We'll cover that. We'll cover that next week.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that there's a need to do a pre and a post.
There's so many, you can literally, everyone on the internet has a blog where they do a mock draft. You don't need one from us as well. It's egregious at this point. We're not going to do it. We will talk about we will do post draft, and we'll do that like Ohio State centrically, of course. So we'll do that, but we're not going to do a pre-draft. The last thing you need is another pair of idiots on the internet predicting where someone's going to go in the draft. There's thousands and thousands of people doing that. You don't need it from us.
Instead, you'll have a pair of idiots talking about college football expansion.
Oh yeah, because that is new, fresh territory that no one ever talks about, and you definitely need our opinions on it. But before we do that, we do have to kind of touch on the draft. We're not going to, but sort of. News breaks this week that Justin Fields has epilepsy. Which is a big deal because seizures can be brought on via head trauma, via, blows to the head.
One that comes to mind, and I think our Slip Cats brought it up before we were. Actually, I think that was a question.
It's in our Ask Sloop Cats.
Duncan. In light of Justin Fields' epilepsy, breaking news, whatever happened to that Cincinnati kid in mid-play who had that seizure?
Yeah, if you guys remember, it was a few years ago.
It was in 2019 when Ohio State took on Cincinnati, and it was like right in the middle of the play.
Yeah, KJ Hill I think it was KJ Hill, whoever was the slot receiver, went out to block him, sees something is wrong, and, thankfully doesn't, because he could have
just lets up. Yeah, he lets up and just.
Yeah, you can tell just by his body language that he was confused what was happening. Luckily, or maybe not luckily, but astutely might be the better word, doesn't hit him, because I'm sure that's the last thing you need in the middle of a seizure. And but whatever happened to that Cincinnati player? I don't know what happened with him medically. I know he continued to play college football. I know he did transfer. I did a little bit of research on this one because I wanted to get the answer correct. But of course I have since closed the tab. So but he transferred to a smaller school. I believe it was like Missouri State, something like that. He was in Alabama. He originally committed to Alabama, ends up in Cincinnati, ends up in Missouri State. I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure. I don't want to say that, but maybe the epilepsy had something to do, because obviously that's a reverse trajectory of what someone who commits to Alabama would want. He continued to play college football. Epilepsy is a spectrum. As we can talk about with Justin Fields apparently has it and no one noticed. So there are people with severe epilepsy and there are people with less severe epilepsy. Most things are, it sits on a spectrum. It is manageable to some degree, again, depending upon where you're sitting on that spectrum, but it can be triggered. It can be brought on, made more severe. Episodes can be triggered through head trauma. So if you're seeing Justin Fields slip in the draft, it's because there are people out there who might be concerned that this could, maybe 1 or 2 concussions, much like Andrew Luck. Not that Andrew Luck had epilepsy, but you take 1 or 2 concussions and maybe it's a shortened career. And one of the reasons why you take a quarterback so early in a draft is because you sometimes see it as a 15-year investment. And one of the reasons why amazing running backs fall in the draft is because sometimes teams only see that as a 5 or 6 year investment. So yeah, it's tough. And I don't know where Justin Fields falls in that spectrum. I have to hope for his sake and suspect, because it just, after years, none of us it never made mainstream stories. We never saw any evidence of it on the field, that he's fairly low on that spectrum and that it can be managed. But it is, of course, a concern, because when you draft a quarterback 3rd overall, which, San Francisco could very well do, you want that to be a 10 to 15 year investment, not a 5-year investment. And, 1 or 2 concussions that are severe enough, and you just don't know.
Yep. You definitely, especially with how mobile he is.
Right.
And him maybe, and we've seen it so many times where you have a young quarterback out in the NFL and trying to make plays and just doesn't have his head on a swivel, and then takes 1 too many shots there.
Yeah. So it's it just unfortunately is what it is right now. There's no cure for epilepsy. There are treatments for it, but there's no cure for it. So, it sucks. I don't necessarily know what else to say about that, but just know if he's falling in the draft, that's probably why.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But either way, I think he'll have a good career in the NFL, bar any injuries or anything. If all goes well from what we've seen in his short tenure at Ohio State, I think he's going to have a good career in the NFL level.
I mean, yeah, he has, again, sort of barring injury.
Yep.
But unfortunately, that barring injury now has a big asterisk next to it, which we didn't know about until this week. Barring injury, it was like, oh, what are you talking about? Justin Fields has been healthy all the time. He's not an injury risk. Well, he is now.
Yep, he is.
And that has to play into the decision making, and that sucks.
Yep.
All right, Kyle. News came out.
Well, good news with Justin Fields. He actually got himself an endorsement deal earlier in the week too.
Paid,
so he's at least getting some money right now. It's like some sort of like energy drink. I forget what it was exactly, but it was like an energy drink.
Yeah, they don't pay us. They pay Justin Fields. They don't pay us.
Yes.
So There you go.
All right. One of our favorite things we love to talk about ever since we started this our show here. What was it? How many years ago?
2015 was our first season.
So we're in season 6. So yeah, it would be almost 6 years ago.
We're in our 6th year.
Yeah. Well, what we did talk about weather already.
Actually, we're in our 5th year. It'll be 6 years in a couple months.
Well, we do talk about weather, Suncard, but what's another thing that we like to talk about here in the Slipcast?
Well, black jerseys.
Other than weather, black jerseys, black stripes,
position battles. Position battles. We like to talk about position battles.
What is something that's always brought up every year, and it's definitely gotten some some more attention this last week.
I'm not going to let a bunch of dead air sit on the podcast, so I'm just going to say it. College football expansion.
Yes, college football expansion has not necessarily Big 10 becoming the Big 16.
We have also talked about that a lot.
Yes, that is true. Yes, but college football expansion, it's come up again in recent news here. There's a working group of possibility expanding it to maybe 6, 8, 12, 16 teams.
Yeah, according to the college football committee, they put out a statement. They're working with a group. A management committee continues to support and believe the 14 playoff is yada yada yada. In its analysis, the working group has reviewed some 63 possibilities for change. This includes 6, 8, 10, 12, 16 team options, each with a variety of different scenarios. What? Suncard, you slacker. You can't give us crap and then leave. I'm just giving you crap. I'll just have fun. So where are we at? Like, so we're currently what, 4 teams with no real no real selection criteria is currently where we are. You know, it's like, well, going undefeated matters except when it doesn't, and winning your conference matters except when it doesn't. And so we're sitting at a 4-team playoff with no hard and fast rules. That's where we sit right now.
And it's always changing every year. Like they may have one set of expectations one year, but then goes completely not in the complete other direction, but just goes and has completely different sets of criteria the next year. It's never consistent.
In the defense of the playoff committee, they are changing over personnel. So if it doesn't always feel consistent, it's because it's not always the same people in the room. Different people are going to have different priorities for, you know what I mean? And I get that we as fans want some sense of control, some sense of predictability. And when that control and predictability is taken away, we don't like it.
The biggest thing for me, though, is consistency. Just always having some sort of consistency with who's going to be in.
And I don't think you're going to get that unless you actually put criteria down on paper.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think with the option to have more teams in the playoffs, you could have a little bit more consistency.
Agreed.
More so with, let's say they do 8 teams. Let's say they double it, go to 8 teams. Well, then you can go there and say, hey, Power 5 conferences, you each get a minimum of 1. Your champion gets in.
I have always said my playoff scenario that I want is the 5 major conference champions plus 3 at-large teams. And with one of those spots somehow, some way guaranteed to a non-Power 5. And do you want that or not? I don't think matters, because if you're guaranteeing spots to conferences, you're now running into anti-trade crap, and you're going to, the same thing that the BCS had to deal with, where the government starts getting involved. So you got to avoid that. You have to avoid any governmental interference, any sort of anti-trade interference. So the best way to do that is to say one of these spots is guaranteed to the highest ranked group of 5 school, as long as they're in the top 15. It is a lot of games. Michigan Bucknut says, Do you cut the regular season short? That's a lot of games. So if you do an 8-team playoff, it's one extra game.
One extra for those who keep on winning. Yes.
Yeah. Do you cut? I don't think so. I mean, yeah.
No, I really don't foresee if it does go to 8 teams, I don't really see the possibility of it being cut shorter just because, I mean, money.
Right. Yeah. It's money. With all of the money coming now, one of the things that the NCAA or college football in general is going to have to deal with is if you're adding, it's one extra week of playoffs. It's 4 additional games of playoffs. Money's being made.
Yep.
At some point, some of this is going to have to trickle down to the players.
Mm-hmm.
The more money college football continues to make, the more pressure there will be to increase what is being paid to the players.
And the other thing too, why games will not be cut short is because it's only going to be affecting 2 teams versus 120 teams.
Yeah. I mean, technically 4 teams, because like the teams that lose in the first round are basically just playing their bowl game. And then the 4 teams that move past that are playing either 1 or 2 extra games.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm still kind of on the fence what you were saying about your scenario about getting 1 non-power 5 in there. I'm kind of on the fence, but I'm kind of leaning more towards what you were saying, just because it kind of similar like the NCAA tournament. Like you got all these minor conferences who get in, and they're just happy to be in,
right?
But then gets to place a number 1 seed and maybe make a run for it, but more often than not,
or
it's
a number
not
2
happening.
Seed.
Mm-hmm.
That pause was for the YouTube audience. It doesn't matter if you want it or not. It doesn't matter if I want it or not. It doesn't matter who wants it. You're avoiding governmental interference. You're avoiding having to face Congress and the Anti-Trade Commission. Would that be the SEC? I'm not sure. I'm not, guys. I'm not a lawyer. You're just avoiding a lot of legal heartache but again, there's also then the discussion of, is it a good thing or not? And I think I could make a really great argument in both directions. Is it good to reserve a spot for the group of 5? I could take a pro or a con on that. I could tell you why I think it's a great idea. I can tell you why I think it's a terrible idea. But ultimately, I think it needs to happen, just legally speaking.
Mm-hmm. I think 16 teams is too many right now.
Yeah, and it's too many. Period. You increase it to 16, and you lose sort of the chaotic magic that is the regular season of college football.
Yeah, and I think 6 is too few. Like if you're going to expand, 6 is too few because you're just then adding 2 more, and then at that point you're pretty much just having champions and a non-power 5 best of then,
which would have to be a group of 5 team again to avoid. You're talking about 5 auto bids. I mean, if you do 6 teams, if you do 6 teams, there's no need for a committee anymore. Yeah, and unless the committee is just there to seed it and pick whoever the group of 5 team is.
I think the sweet number, it's 8 or 10. That way you could reward the top 2 with like a bye week, essentially.
Is that Does the math work out on 10? For
Hold on. Let me think that through. Hold on.
I don't know if that math works out.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. No.
Okay.
No, you're right.
8. Stuart says 8 is the sweet spot, and I think it is.
Yeah.
You don't at anything bigger, and you could do 12, which is what the NFL has been doing forever. But then you're also talking about bye weeks, and do you want bye weeks? And it's 8 to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's it just seems,
because if you start going up to 16 teams, I think at 16, then you might have to start possibly cutting the season shorter, because I mean, if you look at somebody who makes it all the way through, that's 16, 8, 4, 2. That's 4 postseason games. Then
that's 4 postseason
really
games.
five with their conference championship game. That's 5 games outside of the regular season,
and that's also now 8 teams playing extra games instead of just 4 teams playing extra games.
Mm-hmm.
Eight is the absolute sweet spot in my mind. Stuart points out, do you really want the committee choosing who gets granted a bye week? Then he says one additional game isn't too much to ask, which I would say I agree, but I think the objection that will come up to that statement, Stuart, is the parents attempting to travel. And I do think, Stuart, paying the players is complicated. I am for paying the players, but I also understand that it's complicated. And if you want to hear how we fix that, go listen to our episode from season 5 entitled
last summer.
Yeah, last summer. Go listen to our episode from season 5, which is called
Maybe we should play
a radical plan to fix college football.
Maybe we should play that on one of the episodes again, just a good refresher for everybody.
Well, I think we should actually probably rework it, go back over it, see what yeah.
That's not a bad idea. Hey, that's one episode for the Wasteland.
Yeah, I'm all for it. No reason the NCAA can't pay for the travel of the parents. I agree.
100%. Yes.
And again, we're talking about how many teams have to play extra games, right? So now you're talking about paying to travel parents, which, that first game, that's on the parents. But when you get down to the Final Four and the Final 2, then the NCAA can realistically start paying for travel, hotel, or you know what I'm saying? And that's another reason why going to 16 is difficult, because that's, again, now 8 teams playing what would be an extra game over bowl season.
Yep.
That's 8 sets of parents, 100 players per team times 8 teams. The it gets exponentially worse. So,
yeah.
And I also have to wonder, Kyle, if we're talking about, so 8 ideal? Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I really think so. Yeah. I mean, part of me kind of thinks about maybe rewarding the top teams for being the top teams and rewarding them for a week off. But no, I really think 8 is probably the magic number there.
Now, does that come with auto bids?
Yeah.
You say yes, but you don't sound excited when you say yes. Do you? All right. So question. Stuart says auto bids suck. Two separate questions. Auto bids. Do they have to happen in an 8-team scenario? Do you want them to happen in an 8-team scenario? So those are two separate questions.
Oh, you're talking about like Big Ten always plays this team, or
No. Conference champions.
Oh, so conference champion always gets in?
Yeah, like I was saying before, if you have 8 teams, it would be the 5 conference champions plus a spot reserved for the group of 5, and then 2 wild cards. Two separate questions. Would it have to happen like that? Would you want it to happen like that? Because I firmly believe it would have to happen like that.
It would have to happen. I don't see how, if you have let's just say,
because you have to get the conference commissioners to sign off on this first and foremost.
Yeah, let's just say you have Alabama, who's undefeated, and then you have Florida, who has like 3 losses, and then Florida gets in. They beat Alabama. They're in with 3 losses, but then you have other teams who have like 1 loss who are in too. That could cause just a lot of issues as well. But
it also gives us,
they did win their conference.
But it also gives us you talk about you want consistency. What's more consistent than win your conference and you're in?
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Perception doesn't matter. The committee doesn't matter. What Herb Street says doesn't matter. None of it matters. Win your conference and you're in. And I feel like even if fans feel like they're against that, oh God, would it just give you like, it doesn't matter. Oh, Herb Street, I don't care what Herb Street said. Win the conference and you're in. Oh, did you hear what so-and-so said? And because of the fact that Ohio State lost to Virginia Tech, and now everyone keeps saying the word albatross over and over and over and over. The word albatross now has lost all meaning. Doesn't matter. Win your conference and you're in. That, I think that would give us a certain amount of like mental peace.
I was about to say, Jared, like you saying that, did you hear about what Herb Street say? You're not going to know. You're blocked from him.
I still have ESPN, baby.
All right, Jared. I think this is a good time for us to hear from our sponsors.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about Iron Bean Coffee Company and why you should get some coffee from them.
So I told you that they're Ohio based. More specifically, Toledo. More specifically, Perrysburg. I told you that all of their beans are USDA organic and fair trade certified, which again, we're talking about integrity here. The beans are, if you look into the moral ramifications of coffee beans, it can actually get pretty ugly, which is why that if you're wondering what does fair trade certified mean, it means you can drink your coffee with less guilt in your heart about it. They import all of their beans directly from Colombia, Brazil, Uganda, Honduras, Peru, Ethiopia, Indonesia, and more. Value, integrity is their core value. And so you're talking about doing things right, even when people aren't looking. That's what this... Know that when you're supporting this company, you're supporting the good guys. You're supporting a Marine-owned, Ohio-based company that is attempting to do everything in the most high-integrity, morally upstanding way possible. So you're buying more than just coffee here. Now you're buying coffee, and by the way, the coffee's delicious. Let's not get... The coffee's amazing because it's always micro-roasted. It's always fresh roasted to order. You're getting the freshest, most high quality coffee you could ever hope to get. Because all that integrity, that's not only is that morally the right thing to do, but also it delivers the best possible coffee. Know that when you're supporting the Iron Bean Coffee Company, that you're supporting a company that's doing everything the right way, and that translates to the taste of the coffee cup. So you can find a bunch of amazing coffees. I'll go over what some of the coffees are in the next ad read over at the ironbeancoffee.com. That's actually just ironbeancoffee.com. I threw a V in there for some reason. That's incorrect. Ironbeancoffee.com. Iron Bean Coffee Company, America's local coffee roaster.
This episode is also brought to you by our good friends over at the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Mentioned a couple of the seasons earlier on. Mentioned that they are based out of Findlay, Ohio. More specifically, as I'm going to follow suit with Jared. More specifically in Cary, Ohio. Just great seasons. I mean, he's been a sponsor for us for a year and a half now. Great guy. Even better seasonings that he develops in his.
That's debatable because he's a really great guy.
He is. No, I mean, if you want to meet him in person, check out his social medias, Twitter, Facebook, to find out where he and his food truck are heading to. I know that my parents in the past met with him. I actually got a picture from him of my parents and the Mad Canadian from last summer.
You're looking at it. Can you throw it on camera real quick?
I'm gonna reach up here. Yeah, right here they are. Yep.
Oh, guest appearance by.
Yep, right here. They're all at the food truck and they have their masks up and they're all getting some good food at the Mad Canadian's food truck. So if you are in Northwest Ohio, be sure to check him up. It's some really, really good food. And he uses those exact seasonings in his food truck. So check out all those seasonings, such as the Cary steak, the old fashioned, the Sonoran heat, the smoked, the S&P bud, all of those and much, much more at the MadCanadianBBQ.com. That is the MadCanadianBBQ.com. Promo code SloopCast10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where they have your butts covered.
All right, Kyle. This is where we decide where to take the show next. Do we keep talking playoff stuff, or do we have a lot of Ask Sloopcast questions? Do we hit those hard?
I say we do. Let's do this. Ask Sloopcast. Let's.
We have an entire offseason to talk about expansion, right?
We do, yeah.
All right.
So I'm gonna just a wide variety of things in here.
We told everyone just mix bag.
Card, who's no longer listening. Live chat here. What Big Ten team can benefit the most from one of the three quarterbacks doing an in-conference transfer this summer?
I feel like Michigan's quarterback situation is a complete dumpster fire right now.
Yes, Michigan, absolutely. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I don't think.
By the way, just confirmed that he's transferring to Tennessee this week.
Okay.
We knew he was leaving Michigan. We've known that for a while, but he's making the somewhat lateral move of going to Tennessee.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, what other teams really benefit? I can really get their team to the next level with a good quarterback. I just don't know.
I'm not sure what Penn State's quarterback situation is right now.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of the West side. I think Wisconsin's set.
Maybe. Maybe.
Nebraska, I think, has a lot of issues, a lot of questions on their team. I don't know. Michigan, I think is the correct answer.
Well, it's sort of like who's even in the position to make the next level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Kind of similar question here, Stuart. Is there a way all three quarterbacks at Ohio State see meaningful playing time as Buckeyes without the others getting injured?
Stuart's learning how to ask questions because he's starting to phrase it. He always knows I'm looking for loopholes in the questions. Meaning he adds meaningful playing time, not just playing time, meaningful playing time as Buckeyes, no injuries. So he covered all of my normal caveats there. They're learning, Kyle.
Short answer for me, at least, no. No. Two of them, yeah, possibility.
I really don't even. I think Ohio State learned their lesson on that.
Yeah.
I hope so. Anyway.
Well, during their time at Ohio State, not necessarily this year. So there's the loophole. There's the loophole. Maybe not necessarily this year, just in general.
That's well, that may not even be a loophole. That might be his point. Yeah. Kyle McCord's going to have to deal with Ewers, so that's going to be because I don't think McCord's getting the job this year. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Of course, if he does, then I don't think the other two guys see meaningful playing time.
Yep.
Yeah, and Kyle McCord, as great as he looks right now, and as Quinn Ewers is coming, so that will be, I think, a quarterback battle that makes this quarterback battle look tame. In all honesty.
Yeah, I know there's some rumblings about Ewers, but it's
fine. Listen,
it's fine.
Texas gave up. If you're worried about Ewers transferring, know that Texas gave up. And this Ewers grew up as a Longhorn fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
especially
loving the Longhorns.
Well, and especially too, like, who's going to be the head coach at Texas?
I forget. They hired someone. I forget.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember who they hired.
Wow, I'm drawing a blank on who it is right now. It's Sarkisian.
That's right. God. You'd think yeah.
Especially with Sarkisian coming. I mean, and he tried that he runs to.
Yeah, and he tried.
Yeah.
Know that he tried. He tried to go after you because Ewers. The rumors were that he didn't like Herman. Okay, Herman's gone. Sarkisian's in. Now, at this point, Ewers had already committed to Ohio State. And Sarkisian tried. And then they gave up and they went and got someone else who's also like either a high 4 or a 5-star quarterback. Texas gave up. If Texas gave up, if Texas went after Ewers and said, nah, he's solid to Ohio State, then you can believe he's solid to Ohio State. So don't worry about Ewers.
Mm-hmm. All right. I picked a couple here. You want to pick a question from our list here?
Oh, well, I wasn't. Austin asks, what's worse, an upset stomach that won't go away or a persistent migraine? I told you the questions were going to get wacky. I would say a migraine, personally.
Yeah, I think a persisting migraine to me.
I mean, neither are fun.
No. All right. Let's see here. Let's stick with Austin here. If you were the Ohio State AD and could map out your dream schedule, how would that look for you? You have the freedom to choose home away, but all 8 Big Ten games, but must have 8 Big Ten games and 4 non-conference.
Isn't the Big Ten schedule currently? It's 9-3.
It's 9.
Yeah, it's not 8-4. It's 9-3. Man, map out a dream schedule. I feel like this Kyle.
Yes.
Do we put this in the wasteland bucket? I feel like this deserves a great deal of.
Well, I mean, right now, Indiana, Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers, Michigan State. Those are happening right now. Unless we're getting rid of divisions.
He doesn't say that.
All right.
He just says. Now he said 8. I'm going to correct it to 9. He just says 9 Big Ten games. He doesn't say anything about divisions.
Mm-hmm.
I have the freedom to choose home and away. So guess what? We're playing all the games in the shoe. That's just happening. He gave me that freedom. That's happening. So I'm going to stick with one big out of conference game. And if you're going to let me pick it, fuck it. Let's go Bama. Fuck it. Let's go Bama. Then we can do 2. We can do 2 lesser games. So I'm going to do one medium game, and I'm going to keep the money in state and make that Cincinnati. And then I'm going to pick a MAC school, pick an Ohio MAC school, Kent, Bowling Green, Toledo, Ohio. Let's go Ohio.
You know what? No, I want to go to an Ohio State game. So their away game is coming over to North Carolina. Like that should have been a few years ago.
Okay, but that's your dream schedule. I'm doing my dream schedule. So Kyle's ducking Bama. That's what he's doing.
No, I never said I was ducking Bama.
So you're doing North Carolina instead of Cincinnati? Or
instead of like a MAC school.
Oh, you're going 3 pretty big games there.
Why not?
All right. Now we have to do a perfect Big Ten schedule. And all the games are in the shoe. He told me I could pick my home and away games. They're all in the shoe. So you got to play Michigan, got to play Penn State.
Well, I want to.
He doesn't specify, Kyle. He doesn't specify. All right.
When? I was going to say have Michigan the last game.
I'm going sillier than that.
But in November though, the South's got to come north.
Force Bama instead of playing an FCS school.
Got to come up north.
So you want to play Bama right before Michigan?
No, let's say like the
because
first
that's when Bama has an open schedule spot.
I don't care.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't care. Doesn't matter.
All right, Kyle.
First
dream schedule, Big Ten schedule.
Yep.
Week 1 of the Big Ten schedule, I'm playing Penn State.
Yep.
All right. Weeks 2 through 8. It's Ohio State and Michigan. I want that all-time record, and I want it now. So we're playing Michigan 8 times, and we won it last year.
We won it last year because we never even got one.
And by the way, we'll even play half of them in the big house. It's fine. I've given up on play all the games in the shoe. No, that's not even fair. So non-conference, I'm going Ohio, Cincinnati, and Bama. In any sort of scheduling order. That's not important to me. But then the Big Ten schedule, 9 games. Week 1, Penn State, got to play Penn State. Week 2, and it's in the shoe, by the way. Week 2, Michigan in the shoe. Week 3, Ohio State goes to Ann Arbor. And then just repeat that. I want that all-time record, and I want it right now. That's it. I want that all-time record, and I want it right now.
Now mine, like playing that big game, team from the South coming up north, like the first week in November. But then like the week before Michigan, we'll play like a Rutgers or an Illinois team right before the Michigan game.
You're giving Michigan too much respect. If you got to give me a softball before a big time opponent, let it be, I don't know, Penn State or Wisconsin. Like, okay. I don't fear Michigan anymore. In fact, Michigan should be the softball lead up to the conference championship game. Oh wait, it already is.
It already is. All right. All right. Let's get back to some of the questions here. Buckeye Zach, why shouldn't Toledo just be conceded back to the Northland of garbage? I mean, South Michigan.
Because of the Iron Bean Coffee Company.
Yes. It's an Ohio-based company.
Yeah. The better question is, why shouldn't we give the rest? Why shouldn't we give the main? I'm not talking about the UP. I've heard a lot of great things about the UP. We're giving the UP back to easy. I live in South Michigan. Well, I'm about to give you free healthcare because I'm giving you to Canada. I've heard a lot of great things about the UP. We're keeping the UP in the United States. But I think I'm giving the rest of Michigan to Canada.
What was that? There was a Bugs Bunny cartoon where Bugs Bunny takes a saw and starts sawing off Florida. We're doing that to Michigan.
We can just draw the border right there. It's fine.
All right. Nomad. How many eggs per day is too many?
I mean, as far as health goes, I think it's one of the health, like that whole, everyone was like, oh no, eggs and cholesterol. Then we decided that wasn't real. I think eggs are a great source of protein. I say go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you need variety in your diet, obviously.
Yeah.
But if your main source of protein is egg, that's fine. I'm all for it. I know eggs aren't vegan, but are they vegetarian? Because I feel like as long as the egg isn't fertilized. Guys, I need to hear from some farmers in the chat. YouTube comments. Or maybe not farmers, maybe some vegetarians. Are eggs vegetarian? I know they aren't vegan, but are they vegetarian? I don't know.
All right, Jared, here's a question that I don't think we ever really answered that Kabuto asks us. Ohio State media outlets all say we don't speculate on transfers.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
We say the same thing.
How is it harmful to just talk about it? After all, people talk about NFL trades all the time. If it's because players aren't paid, will it change with NIL?
All right, these are great questions. One, I don't speculate on transfers. Partially, yes, because the players aren't paid. Like they're amateur athletes, and I think there are lines you don't cross with amateur athletes. Mm-hmm. When it comes to professional athletes, like you get paid big money, you've put yourself in the spotlight. With a college athlete, like they're just trying to, maybe they're just trying to get a free education. They don't all, but most do have NFL dreams. But yeah, I think it's just like, it's a line you don't cross with amateurs in my mind, especially in why don't you talk about it? Because you're essentially saying, hey, you amateur athlete who's not getting paid, you aren't good enough to be here based off of my speculation. And I think it's different because we talk a lot about, will this quarterback because we have talked about, if Kyle McCord wins the starting job, then does that mean that Miller or Stroud could transfer? And we talk about, I'm okay talking about that scenario because in that case, I'm talking about Miller and Stroud both being so good that they deserve a starting spot somewhere else. So that to me, I think is okay to talk about because one, quarterback transfers are so common, and two, because it's coming from a positive place. Hey, Miller and or Stroud are too good to sit on the bench their entire college careers and therefore are risks to transfer. On the other end of that spectrum, if you say, hey, you're a fourth year player who hasn't started yet, get the hell out. You know what I mean? That's a different line, in my opinion. And I don't think that changes with NIL personally.
It's similar to like when we say to about prospects as well. Don't message message these players who are still in high school. It's essentially similar to.
Yeah, I agree. Don't talk to high school kids unless you're actually being paid to be a recruiting analyst. Don't talk to the high school kids. That's the line. Unless you're a paid recruiting analyst, don't talk to high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just keeps getting the further back you go in their life, the more severe the rules get. The second they get an NFL paycheck, then it becomes more and more fair game to speculate about their careers.
Yep. All right, Jared, what question do you want to answer next here?
All right, Kyle. Why do you choose to make everyone's morning too early by recording? And also someone else asks the similar question. I can't find it. How early? I think it was Austin. Yeah. How early is too early to record a podcast? Why do you keep making me get up so early to record a podcast, Kyle?
Because real life stuff.
Okay.
last week it was because of a flight. This week it's because of real life stuff.
Yeah, really. You can just say real life stuff. You're not.
I personally like to do it like afternoon on Sunday. It just we're a little bit more awake.
A little bit more awake, a little bit more Adderall circling through my blood, a little more caffeine circling through my blood. Also, because we always used to do the Monday podcast like Sunday mornings, like fairly early.
About this time.
Maybe a little bit later, but yeah. And then like news would break on Sundays.
Yeah.
And so we just. Also, I'm much more efficient at editing the podcast now, which is to say that I don't really anymore.
Yeah.
I used to just the post-production takes a lot less effort from me. Therefore, we can push it much later.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see here. I know we're running short on time here, so I'm going to pick just a few other questions. Let's do one because I don't think we've answered one from Brawley. So the top one here, Jared.
Yeah.
What is the best old school Disney Channel original movie?
I never got into the Disney Channel original. I don't have an opinion here. Maybe the one above that though, Kyle, I think is a little bit more. I think a little bit more in our comfort zone. Well, no, I guess that was in response to someone else's question, but he's talking about Hey Arnold, which I think is one of like the GOAT cartoons.
Mm-hmm. So let's kind of ask that, like, what is your Mount Rushmore of cartoon shows?
Are we like kids? Are we including adult animation in this? That I think is an important aspect to that.
I guess the question is like, give me, where was it here? Yeah. Give me your Nickelodeon, Disney, and Cartoon Network shows.
Okay. All right. And when we say Cartoon Network shows, we aren't including Adult Swim. Just, I'm drawing that line. So Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, not including Adult Swim. We're staying in like the children's entertainment realm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to have to do this quick and I might regret it, but I feel like it's Adventure Time, SpongeBob, Hey Arnold and Rocco. I'm doing that real quick off the top of my head. I might disagree with myself if I put some real thought into it, but I think it's Adventure Time, SpongeBob, Hey Arnold, and Rocco's Modern Life.
Up there for me, just because of nostalgia, I got to go with Chip and Dale.
Okay, yeah, I didn't represent Disney at all in my list, so
I got to go with Chip and Dale in there. A really good one that I liked, especially later in my childhood, was Dexter's Lab.
That's another good one.
Dexter's Lab was another good one. Even younger, and it's still a really good one. Rugrats was a good one growing up as well as my young life.
Yeah, Rugrats, one of the 3 original Nicktoons, along with Doug and Ren and Stimpy, which was thrown out there by Stewart. He also throws out Tailspin and DuckTales.
Oh, DuckTales is
now that's in the WB universe, which was not included in the question, but I will count it. And if we're going to expand into that universe, we have to talk about Animaniacs. We have to talk about Darkwing Duck, which actually may have been Disney. I'm now questioning that. Which I think were also great. Let's see. I feel like Tiny Toons. That's the one I'm missing in the Warner Brother universe. From that same sort of 90s kid era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So I think that's a good list there. Any other questions you want to try to answer right now? We are at the hour mark right now.
Let's see. Can we get one more football question?
All right. One more football question if we look here.
Non-football question, but Austin asks, like, what's our ideal weather-wise? We don't have time for that one, but he then does follow that up with, is the metric system superior, and why does the U.S. not adopt it? Listen, if the pandemic has taught us anything about the United States, is the last thing you do when you want to convince the United States to do something is to tell them they need to do it. So the more everyone says the United States needs to get on the metric system, the longer it's going to take to happen, because that's us. We enjoy being rebels, and we enjoy flipping off authority. That's very deeply we're literally a country of a revolution. We're literally a country that looked at England, the biggest empire of that era, and said, hey, we're independent now, try and stop us.
The U.S. is that stubborn child that just will not listen.
I mean, basically, but we're also just like, it's, and I'm quite frankly, I love that about us. This is not a criticism of the United States. I kind of like that fuck you, don't tell me what to do attitude most of the time. I feel like pandemic wise, I feel like maybe we should have not been quite like that. But generally, I love that about us. I think that's where a lot of our creativity comes from. And I think that's where a lot of our innovation comes from. I love that about this country. Didn't enjoy it so much during the pandemic. I feel like maybe we should have. Yeah.
All right. Last question here, and it is football related.
Yeah.
If Teton fails to impress this year, with Jim Harbaugh headed further north to the CFL to start over,
that would be great. I think Harbaugh to the NFL is just gonna have to happen eventually.
I agree, especially after going. What did they go last year? What did they go? Oh yeah, they went 2-4 last year.
They went 2-4 last, and like, okay, pandemic and all of that, but if you look, Harbaugh signs a contract extension this offseason. Everyone's like, well, how could he a contract extension? Look at the contract that they signed. It's basically built without like huge buyouts or punishments for either of the parties. It's a very easy contract to get out of. Harbaugh didn't want to leave Michigan, and Michigan didn't want to admit that they made a mistake with Harbaugh. So they're going to sign that contract extension, but it's very easy to break. Is the real one takeaway to take from the new Michigan contract with Harbaugh. It's very easy to break.
Yep. All right.
I think Michigan Bucknut says if he could have gone, it would have been last year. I think he burned that bridge in the NFL. You don't burn bridges in the NFL. If an NFL team thinks you are the key to winning, they will sign you.
Yep. All right, Jared. I think that's it. I think it is time to wrap up this show.
All right. Time to wrap up the show. Make sure to check out the sloopcast.com. It's just a campsite. If you don't know campsite, it's just like a link aggregator. It's just a campsite page that will direct you to all of the other Sloopcast things. To our Spotify spot, to our YouTube spot, to our Apple Music spot, our merch stores. I'm wearing this, which I don't think has been taken down by Ohio State yet. Now, you might say, Jared, why would Ohio State claim that shirt and not Nintendo? Because Ohio State's lawyers are dicks. And I don't want to get into it. So if there's anything you want to get over at the Sloopcast merch store, which by the way, merch.thesloopcast.com, you should probably do that now, because Ohio State likes to take my stuff down, whether or not it actually violates their trademarks or not. Because they're dicks. So you should probably pick something quickly, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you. Let's see. That's all I feel like talking about. Just if you're not already following us on YouTube, please do so. If you're not already following us on the Buckeye Scoop YouTube, please do that. Subscribe on both. It's appreciated. We also have social media stuff. Kyle and I are slowly moving away from Twitter and into our Discord. So if you want to interact with Kyle and I, like, Twitter's fine. I still get notifications. I haven't removed it from my phone or anything, but I'm not spending a lot of time on Twitter anymore because it's toxic and I don't like it. So join us over on the Discord, where it is considerably less toxic and feels much more like a family of people with common interest as opposed to a shouting match. And you can do that. Just download the Discord app to your phone and then join us at discord.thesloopcast.com. And there are a bunch of channels. Some of them are premium channels, but the vast majority of them are not. You will find absolute entertainment and fun and community in the free channels. Don't feel like you have to sign up to enjoy the Discord, because that is not true. Now, the premium channels are also pretty great. We talk about cryptocurrency. We talk about fitness. We talk about recruiting. That one's behind the paywall. So there are the live chat that you see if you're watching on YouTube, the live chat that you see down at the bottom of the page here. That is behind the paywall, but it's most of the stuff isn't, and you'll absolutely find community and fun and Ohio State conversation, whether or not you sign up at patreon.thesloopcast.com. And that's how you get, for $3 a month, you get early access to episodes, you get the premium access in the Discord, you get lots of cool stuff. You can join the guys down here who listen to us live. So you can listen live. You also get early access to the actual recording, the actual audio podcast of the show. And you can just listen to us record it live as it's happening and make fun of us while we do it and ask us questions while we do it. So all of that's for $3 a month, and you can pay, treat it like Nike, just do it. Yeah. And by the way, you can save, I think it's 12%. Don't swear. I'm not swearing to 12, but it's something in that area. You can save 12% off of your Patreon subscription by paying for the year up front. So $3 times 12 is $36. You save some sort of percent. Is it 10%? Stuart says it's 10%. So you save, so it's $32 to sign up for an entire year of premium access to the Sloopcast. What are you doing by not doing that? Seriously, it's $32 for an entire year of premium access. Come on. Seriously. You spent more on Amazon this week on something that you forgot you bought until it showed up. And you know that's true. All right, Kyle, that's all of the plugging I feel like doing, which I think is the second time I said that. The first time was a lie. This one's the truth. What do you have in Kyle's corner?
Two things. Musa Jallo, who transferred out of Ohio State, has found his home with the Charlotte 49ers.
Kyle, as the person who's responsible for everything that happens in North Carolina, how the hell is a 49er, which is a gold rush thing? So that's why the 49ers of San Francisco are the 49ers.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
How is someone in Charlotte a 49er?
I don't know.
No, you need to answer for this.
I don't know.
Okay. Congrats to Musa Jallo. I hope he finds success in I'm going to say inappropriately named Charlotte 49ers.
And Crew Stadium, the new Crew Stadium. I put a picture here, Jared, if you haven't seen it. Sod is in. The sod is in. They're watering it down. They're getting it to appropriate temperature levels now, because I guess they have new technology where they can have the grass temperature controlled.
It's not new, for the record.
Okay, well, they didn't have it at the current Crew Stadium.
Well, they didn't have a lot of things at the current Crew Stadium.
They also don't have 90 plus beer options at the old Crew Stadium.
No. The NFL teams, especially the northern NFL teams, have had heated fields for a very long time because
it's looking good. It's looking good. It's July. I think it's like I don't think it's the first weekend. I think it's the second weekend in July. First crew game at the new stadium in downtown Columbus.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. I got my tickets. I'm excited.
Yes. All right. That is all I have for today, Jared.
All right, everyone. Today's ending music. I don't know why I always say tonight. I don't care when you listen to this. Today's ending music will be brought to you by the Raging Nathans, which, by the way, and I know no one cares about this but me, is our second in a row from the Dayton-based record label Rad Girlfriend. I check out Rad Girlfriend just as a record label. That's a thing you should do. But this band, much like the Dopamines from last week's episode, have a pre-order out on the Rad Girlfriend's record label. These are, once again, the Raging Nathans. The name of both the song we're playing, which is the one song they have out from this album so far, and the name of the album is called Waste My Heart. You can pre-order the album now. It's available. I wrote Jan 4 in the notes. I'm pretty sure I meant June 4 in the notes. So the new album comes out June 4th, but you can pre-order it now on the Rad Girlfriend's Bandcamp page, which I will link to in the notes. Don't worry, I got links for you. So check the show notes for that link. Check out the Dayton-based Raging Nathans. And once again, the name of the song is Waste My Heart. And with all of that being said, I encourage you to listen to local music, drink local beer, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is the Raging Nathans.
How's it going, YouTube? Hope everyone enjoyed today's episode.
I totally just zoned out there for a second.
Man, I totally forgot, Jared. 4 of the past 5, it's not going to happen this year, but 4 of the past 5 NFL drafts, Ohio State has had the top defensive player drafted.
Look at the defensive MVPs. I think the last 5 years in the NFL. I think 4 of the last 5, if I'm remembering correctly, 4 of the last 5 defensive rookies of the year were Ohio State players. Chase Young got it last year. I think Joey Bosa got it his rookie year. But yeah,
I mean, it's just crazy. You got the Bosa brothers, Young and Denzel Ward were the 4.
Okay. And that's 4 of the last 5?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And then the other one was a guy named Garrett.
That's it? A guy named Garrett? That's all.
I'm drawing a blank on his first name. I was hoping you were going to fill me in there, Jared.
Oh, I thought you actually looked it up. You pulled that from memory, and I respect you for it.
I did.
I appreciate it.
Yes, Miles Garrett. Thank you. Miles Garrett. Miles with a Y.
Yeah. Is the name Miles ever spelled with an I? I feel like if it's a name, it's always spelled with the Y.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a terrible speller, so what the hell am I even trying to talk about right now?
And pronunciating.
Well, that too. That everyone knows that already. Of course, if you follow me on Twitter, you can also see that I don't ever proofread anything.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and end today's episode, Jared.
Once again, I'd like to thank the Raging Nathans for sponsoring. No, they weren't sponsoring. I'm gonna try that again. I'm not editing this out for the record, but I am gonna try it again. We are starting over, but I'm not editing this out. Once again, I'd like to thank the Raging Nathans for ending today's show, and I'd once again like to thank the Iron Bean Coffee Company for sponsoring today's show. I told you why you should shop at the Iron Bean Coffee Company. But now we're gonna talk about some of the coffees. They have a bunch of flavored coffees out under the Murder Coffee line. If you're into flavored coffees, you can check a bunch of those out. They got like red velvet and blueberry crumble and a bunch of really cool flavored coffees. I'm personally, I can be hit or miss with the flavored coffees. I do like a grog, and they do have a grog. So, okay, you could probably check out the grog. But some of the non-flavored coffees, we talked about the cast iron, which is a medium roast. There's also the ride or die, which is a medium roast. It's a gentle, distinctive version of the classic American cup. Brazilian yellow bourbon coffee beans, superb smoothness and flavor. There's also, if we're sticking to the medium roast, the Rage Against the Dying of the Light with notes of cherry, milk chocolate, orange, and a slight hint of rose petal. There's the Rocco, which is available both medium and dark. There is the Loki, which is a medium light roast. Wet process blend with higher caffeine, lower in acidity, rich tasting, filled with fragrance, citrus, and floral dominates the taste of this blend. Then there's the Thor, which is like a medium dark. So if you're just depending upon which Greek god you're more into. There's also an Odin if you want to go straight to dead. So lots of great coffees over at the Iron Bean Coffee Company. I don't have time to talk about all of them because the selection's that great. But if you're just like, I don't know which one to try, you can get the whole shebang, which is all of the Iron Bean branded coffees. I don't think they have the murder coffees in these yet, but all of the Iron Bean branded coffees in like small little sample bags, and you can get that ground or whole bean. And so you can just sort of find the coffee that's right for you. And if you do find the coffee that's right for you, and if you just maybe that one or two that are like your favorites, you can save money with a subscribe and save service. And you can find details for all of this stuff at ironbeancoffee.com. That's Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster.
This episode was also brought to you by our good friends over at the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Mention about who they were, some of the seasonings. Now, let me tell you about the savings they can have when you order from Mad Canadian over at the madcanadianbbq.com. And that is the box sets that they have. So if you go to their website, again, the madcanadianbbq.com, head on over to products, box sets. There are 3 box sets that you can choose from over at the website. You have the whole hog, which is one of each of the 13? I think it's 13 seasonings that the Mad Canadian has over at
so far.
What's that?
So far,
yes. More coming. You got the Sweet Heat, which I consider the it's a great chicken wing set. It has the 4 Horsemen, the Discord, the Old Fashioned, and the 2 Border. You have the Just Send It, which is the most versatile seasoning. It's the S&P Bud. It's your good salt and pepper blend, the Sonoran Heat, the Cajun, and the Smoked. Check those 3. You save on all of them, any box sets, and you can save 10% more by using that promo code Sloopcast10, Sloopcast10 for 10% more off your entire order. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where he has your butts covered.
Stick me. Hold on. The ball is in the way. I can't get to the stop. There we go. Bye, everyone.